July 4th, 1961. Deep beneath the Atlantic, the Soviet Union's most advanced nuclear submarine flashes its first warning, then another, and then a third. These are not just malfunctioning lights. 3 critical systems, including ballistic missiles with enough power to erase a city, are failing at once. Somewhere behind those sealed steel doors, an event unfolds that the world was never supposed to discover. What really happened in K-19's reactor room? And why did it threaten not just 139 men, but the fate of the entire planet? Steel walls press in from every side. The K-19's bow is a maze of pipes and cables, barely wide enough for a man to squeeze through. 6 torpedo tubes line the forward compartment, each one loaded, cold to the touch. Above the bunks, condensation drips onto a stack of uniforms. Sleep is a rare luxury here. Most men grab what rest they can, curled up in corners or wedged between machinery. The air tastes of oil and sweat. A warning light blinks near the hatch. The intercom has gone silent. No orders, no music, just dead static. An engineer, face streaked with grime, cracks open the panel. He works by feel, hands moving fast. A blown fuse, scorched at both ends, comes free. He slides in a spare, snaps the cover shut, and the system hums back to life. It is a tiny victory, but in these cramped quarters, every win counts. The captain's boots echo on the metal deck. He pauses by his cabin, glancing at a faded photograph tucked into the frame of a mirror. Family, far away. He keeps moving, urgency in every step. The first warning light flickers off. Relief sweeps through the compartment, but it does not last. The submarine is still a pressure cooker, and everyone knows it. 1 alarm silenced, 2 more to go. The crew returns to their routines, checking gauges, loading torpedoes, trading quiet jokes in the shadows. For now, the forward section holds, but somewhere deeper in the boat, trouble is building. A sudden klaxon shatters the uneasy calm. In the middle of the submarine, the missile bay is in chaos. 3 giant steel silos stretch from floor to ceiling, each housing an R-13 ballistic missile. Each missile stands 13 meters tall, almost the length of a city bus. They were designed to unleash a nuclear blast 66 times more powerful than Hiroshima. These weapons are the reason K-19 exists. Their range, 650 kilometers, puts every major city on the United States eastern seaboard within reach. But now, the maintenance officer's voice is tight with worry. Silo temperature is spiking. We shut the launch systems down, but the heat keeps climbing. The missile bay was built to be airtight, armored against torpedoes and sabotage, but it was never designed for a problem like this. Dials flicker in the red. Sweat beads on the officer's forehead as he checks the emergency cutoffs, and nothing responds. The air is thick, humming with the threat of something unseen. If the warheads inside these silos overheat, the consequences extend far beyond the hull. A single spark could ignite the missiles or crack the reactor shielding, unleashing radiation or triggering a nuclear detonation that would be impossible to explain to Moscow or to Washington. The captain's mind races. This isn't a weapons malfunction. The power feeding the missile bay is unstable, surging and dropping without warning. It points to a deeper problem, something no one wants to say out loud. The real danger isn't in the silos. It's in the heart of the ship, where the reactors churn. The crew shares a silent look. The next move could decide the fate of the boat, and everyone above the waves. Inside the reactor compartment, the air hangs thick with heat and dread. A single gauge bolted to the steel wall climbs higher with every passing minute, 300 degrees Celsius and rising. The technician's hands tremble as he checks the readings, sweat beading on his brow despite the chill of the North Atlantic pressing in from outside. There is no backup system, no safety net. The K-19 was built fast, corners cut to keep pace with the Americans. The engineers know it. There should be a secondary cooling loop to take over, but the pipes just stop, capped and useless. All that stands between the crew and disaster is the primary circuit, and it is failing. The numbers tell the story. At 300 degrees Celsius, the reactor is already running hotter than it was ever meant to. If it hits 600 degrees Celsius, the fuel rods could rupture. That could mean a steam explosion, radioactive clouds flooding the boat, and a blast that could shatter the hull. The margin for error is gone. Every man in the compartment understands what is at stake, even if no one says it out loud. The technician wipes his hand across the dial, hoping for a mistake, but the numbers do not lie. There is no time for debate, no room for caution. The next decision will decide the fate of everyone on board, and maybe far beyond. The only certainty is that the heat is still climbing. The captain grabs the radio, his knuckles white around the handset. He tries every frequency and every emergency code he knows. Nothing. The long-range radio is dead, and the static hisses back at him like a threat. No contact with Moscow. No orders. No rescue on the horizon. The crew waits, watching him, hoping for a sign. Instead, a new voice breaks the silence. A calm American voice says, "This is a United States Navy warship. Do you require assistance?" The words hang in the air, heavy and unreal. For a heartbeat, hope flickers across the faces in the control room. The enemy is offering a lifeline. One word from Captain Zatev, and every man aboard could live to see home again. But the captain does not answer right away. He knows what is at stake. The K-19 carries secrets, reactor blueprints, and missile codes prized by both superpowers. Letting Americans on board would hand over Soviet technology and betray his country. Under Soviet law, accepting help from the enemy is treason. The penalty is not just disgrace, it is execution. Zatev's hand shakes. He looks at his crew, then at the radio. The silence stretches. Finally, his voice is steady. No assistance required. The channel goes dead. The room is colder now, the air thick with what is unspoken. The captain has chosen country over survival. The crew is alone, trapped beneath the Atlantic, with nothing left but their own hands and whatever courage they can find. 8 men gather at the hatch, the air thick with fear and resolve. The youngest, Chulov, barely 23, volunteers first. He knows what the radiation will do, but he steps forward anyway. The captain explains the plan in clipped phrases. Teams of 2, no more than 10 minutes inside the reactor chamber. Any longer, and the dose is fatal. They pull on thin protective suits, little more than raincoats, and cover their faces with makeshift masks. The first pair disappears into the heat and steam, the stopwatch ticking in the captain's fist. Inside, they cut through the thick air vent valve, metal shrieking with every pass of the saw. Radiation burns their skin, but they keep working. When time is up, they stumble out, faces already red and swollen. Another team rushes in, towels and torn shirts in hand to wipe condensation from the pipe, because if the weld does not hold, the repair will fail. 4 rotations, each man pushing past pain and terror. At last, the weld is complete. The connection holds. The crew has bought themselves a chance. The cost of survival was measured in silence. The men who braved the reactor room absorbed radiation levels far beyond what the body can stand, up to 6,000 rem, more than a dozen times the fatal dose. Within days, all 8 were gone, their skin sloughed off in sheets. Their families, waiting for news, received only vague letters and sealed caskets. The official story never mentioned radiation. Deaths were explained away as accidents, or simply left unexplained. Medical records vanished into locked archives. Even the survivors who avoided the worst exposure faced a different kind of punishment. They were ordered never to speak of what happened. Not to doctors, not to their children, not even to each other. Any violation meant prison. For decades, the story of K-19 was erased, the crew's courage hidden behind layers of secrecy. Only years later, in 2006, did the Russian government finally award medals to the men who had saved the submarine and prevented a global disaster. By then, most of the families had waited a lifetime for the truth. Nuclear risks remain. Today, over 100 submarines still patrol the oceans, each carrying the power to reshape history in minutes. The silence around K-19 reminds us when secrecy eclipses truth, and the world sits closer to disaster than it knows. Some sacrifices never surface. Thanks for watching.